Okay, Kendall Mheshimiwa, tell us what will you bring different when you are being elected as a senator of Nairobi County?
Oh, okay. Thank you. What will I bring different? Let me begin by saying that I'm running as an independent candidate. Uh, Actually, in the race in Nairobi for the senator seat, we are eight contestants, eight competitors for the same seat, and I am the only independent candidate. And that is significant. I will explain in a moment why. Um, I am fresh, untainted by corruption or by scandals. And I'm sure some of my competitors also may be able to, to say the same thing. Um, I believe that I have one of the most significant ingredients that any political leader in this nation must have and must convince the electorate based upon. And that is a formula by which we can rid this nation of our number one enemy. Now, our number one enemy is corruption. It has marred and it continues to hinder every good idea, whether economically, socially, in any sphere in this nation. We are under attack uh, uh, by corruption. And you can see even in the current government, there are institutions, the Nairobi County itself, through the NMS, the Kenya Meat Commission, were even handed over to the military. Why is that? Because I believe the military, in a good sense, in quotes, is the largest cartel that we have. It's the most formidable one. Corruption is run by cartels, and they are able to influence whether through positive influence or through negative hostile influence, they're able to influence executives, politicians, people of all sorts of walk of life to do the wrong thing. But the military has been, and I thank His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta for that, has been able to come in Nairobi, in Kenya Meat Commission, as I said, and they have done, in my opinion, a good job to make sure that those organizations start working properly. That should tell us that what is our greatest enemy in this nation. And any politician standing, myself included, must therefore then discuss with the electorate what his or her formula is to defeat this scourge, this enemy. I thank God, by His grace, I have a written strategy that hopes, or that is able, in my opinion, to defeat that enemy within the first year of our election. By this same time in 2023, that corruption should be history if myself and others who are like-minded get their way. Admittedly, as a senator, I may not be able to tackle the entire manifestation of corruption alone. But then again, who would be able to do that in this nation right now? We need every Kenyan behind this effort. So I am hoping that I'll be able, through my strategy of collaboration, not confrontation, to be able to work with every elected leader and every government officer that will be in place to be able to deal with this issue. something else that I'm bringing to this table is my 12 point agenda for the development of Nairobi City County. That 12-point agenda is, you can find leads to it on a website, figtreealliance.com. And if you go to a page where they have listed me as an aspirant, you find the issues that I hope to tackle there. Of course, the role of a senator, other than revenue allocation, is to supervise or to oversight, as the Constitution calls it, to oversight other government officers, including in the counties and even in the national government. Um, that role of oversight, when I look at it keenly, requires one of an independent mind, because, for example, if you have an Azimio senator and an Azimio governor, how does one unit oversight itself? On the other hand, if you have a Kenya Kwanza governor and a Kenya Kwanza senator, again you find that same challenge. So I think I am best suited to be able to oversight whoever it is, whether independent or whether party-led officer within the county of Nairobi. In my 12-point agenda, I may not list everything here because of time. That's why I referred you to the website. But there are pertinent issues already that have come up in my interactions with Nairobians. For example, I refer immediately to the issue of traffic management. We have a culture of vehicles overlapping, and I think that overlapping culture is one reason why it's so hard to get around in the city. I thank God for the Nairobi Expressway. It's a system I've used and I like. I call upon the managers of it to consider putting in a pay bill system, so it will make it easier for Kenyans, not just to insist on cash payments or on the ETC, which requires a monthly deposit. But traffic management, do we really need physical police officers on the road checking for vehicles that way? I think in most modern cities, what should be there mostly would be cameras, so that we have a system, for example, where we have cameras on the streets, and we have every vehicle with identifiable, whether electronically or just from the number plate, so that the camera would pick up the behavior of drivers in the absence of human supervision. And I hope to work with the government of Nairobi, the governor, the NMS, so that we can bring in such a system and even connect it to an electronic payment platform, for example, like M-Pesa, so that where if a driver is caught breaking the law, automatically the due fine is deducted from the payment platform. This way we will be bringing in more discipline on our roads. Again, with traffic management, you could mention the issue of if you've noticed, a lot of places where there's traffic snarl-ups is where matatus are trying to pick up or drop off their passengers. And I don't think the problem really is the matatus. The problem is the availability of bus stops. Yeah, you find the facilities that have been created along the road as bus stops are very small compared to the volume of matatus and other vehicles and passengers. So I'd work with the county government and with the NMS to expand bus stops so that we allow matatus the space. You realize matatus are legitimate and not just legitimate. I think they are a critical element in our transport system. So we should facilitate them, create a facility where they can comfortably come and park, to drop off and to pick up passengers as they do their business, and without hindering the flow of traffic along those streets. So those are some of the things, for example, with traffic management. Another area, just to give one more example, would be with the provision of fresh water in our houses and even in our businesses. I tend to think that one of the reasons why we have such chaos in Nairobi is because of other interests, vested business interests. People like to call them water cartels, whereby even lines would be blocked or cut off so that the people selling water will have business, because residents and businesses do not have tap water. I think the way to tackle something like that, for example, would not be in the traditional way where we are threatening and trying to force traditional water providers out of the business. You know, these cartels are also made up of Kenyans who have families and who have aspirations and who would want also to make a living. So I think one way to deal with it would be to call in all the stakeholders. Yeah, those who, in quotes, are called cartels, maybe are businessmen trying to make a living for themselves, and look at ways in which we can either reassign them to other duties. For example, those water trucks with the tanks can be reassigned to exhauster business. We have a lot of sewage being spilled from the main lines. So we could reassign them, for example, to exhauster business. Yeah, so they can look for the choke points on the sewage lines, yeah, where the bus routinely occur, and maybe create ducts from which the exhausters can suck up the excess sewer and then dispose it properly. In fact, we would be in that way maybe defeating two problems at the same time. We would be dealing with the spillage of sewerage in the places that we are as Nairobians, and at the same time we would be giving those who possibly are holding the water, fresh water supply business to our houses hostage, that will be giving them alternative means to make legitimate living, and then release the fresh water in our pipes to get into our homes and into our businesses. So those are just some of the ideas that I hope to deliberate. You realize those are not directly the role of the senator. These are held in the county government and here in Nairobi in the NMS. That's why I am emphasizing a strategy of collaboration, not confrontation, a strategy of people-led, people-centered change, a strategy that requires smart goals for smart results. These are things that we need to sit down and agree and set smart targets so that Nairobians end up actually getting the services they need. I don't think it's an issue of, especially in Nairobi, it isn't an issue of lack of funds or finances. It's an issue of how we are able to manage what we have, and how we are able to deal with vested interests. As I said before, even those who we call cartels are Kenyans, and because of I believe historically, because of the shortages that Nairobians experienced when maybe county services were not working properly, they got into that business, and now they have secured their position there, so much so that it then hinders progress and provision of those services. So we need to work with them in a collaborative way to see how best we will address their economic, mostly concerns, and how then also Nairobians will be released from that hostage situation to receive legitimate and worthy services from the county government and from the government in general. Finally, I know I'm a senator for the entire Nairobi County. I am one also who is in a mission, as I said when I was introducing myself, that I offered my candidature based on the leading of the Holy Spirit. God has an agenda for this nation. Why? Because it is the springboard for revival. It has an apostolic mandate upon it as a nation. Every nation in the world, God created it or allowed it to be there for a particular purpose. I thank God because in Kenya we have identified our purpose as an apostolic mandated country. In this season, there are specific issues that God requires to be addressed in this nation, and so that we can walk into that end time revival. Those issues I have separated into 5 specific things, and I have discussed this in other forums and will continue to do so. If you're interested, please reach out and I will explain more. The 5 things that God requires out of Kenya is, number 1, to deal with corruption. Why deal with corruption as a priority issue? Because we cannot deal with purport to build our economy, to deal with poverty, when corruption is rife as it is in this nation. So we need to deal with that one. Then we need to work on our economy to get rid of poverty. It is possible for a country to move from being a poor nation, a third world nation, to a first world or even over first world nation. We've seen that in the Far East, and it can be replicated and even done better. This is an assignment that we have as a nation, and I believe God is putting people, not just me, because this requires a united effort in place to rid this nation of poverty. Then we also need to deal with the issue of historical injustices and the bloodshed that has been shed by government authorities or by people who represent the government of this country. The Bible clearly declares, when it is talking about the blood of Abel, that it is crying out from the soil. Traditionally, even as Africans, we believe that when you spill blood, when you kill, when you make major injustices, you take somebody's land from them, their livelihood from them in an unjust manner, that attracts curses. These are the things we believe as Africans. And if that is so for an individual, how much more would it be the same for a country? we may, the West may tell us we need to put in strategies for economy, and indeed we do. We need to deal with corruption, indeed we do. But we also need to deal with the spiritual basis that would hinder the prosperity and the blessed state of our nation. If we just do the things that we need to do in terms of professional undertaking and omit the spiritual basis, that and all of we are Kenyans. Look at from where you come from. Yeah, this is something that is apparent even in individual lives. If you dishonor your parents, for example, it has repercussions in your life. No matter how learned, no matter how trained, no matter how exposed, no matter how much money you have, it will have repercussions in your life. The same is true for a nation. Yeah, because a nation is a collection of all of us. So we need to deal with historical injustices. We need to deal with the bloodshed of those many people whose blood was shed. I counted once, and we have blood being spilled even up to today in 15 different ways. Yeah, and unless we deal with that, then it will hinder even our development, even the level of our blessedness as Kenyans. So that is the third thing. We then, therefore, then also need to deal with the fourth thing, which is divisions, maliciousness. These divisions operate in different ways. For example, one main way would be in tribalism. Yeah, if once we if we continue operating as tribal cocoons, yeah, we are divided. The Bible records that a kingdom divided against itself will fall. Yeah, tribalism is an ideology introduced to us by the colonial masters, the divide and rule. Yeah, and it is something that every nation that does business with Africa continues to take advantage of to their benefit and to our loss. Unless we deal with it, we cannot become a strong nation. When you look at other peoples from other corners of the world, when you look at the Americans, when they come to us, they don't come to us as Texans and Californians and people from Florida. They come to us as Americans. When the Chinese come to us, they don't come to us divided in their different kingdoms and tribes from China, and so on and so forth. The Europeans, they have the European Union. They deal with us as a single unit. Yeah? Why is it that Kenyans must continue operating as Kambas, Kikuyus, Maasais, Kalenjins, Luos, and all the rest? Yeah? It is a deception we have bought into far too long, and it weakens us. Yeah? How will we hold the hand of Tanzania and Uganda and Somalia if we ourselves in our nation are not able to work together as a single unit, yeah, without those divisions? Same thing in the church. Yeah? I know we have different dispensations, and therefore different we have the Catholics, the Protestants, the Evangelicals, and all the rest, which is okay. That is in the spiritual realm. But as we are working now in the political sphere, we need a united action. Actually, the church is the biggest voting bloc. If we could vote together, if we could agree to vote together so that we can manifest what is written in the Bible. These are some of the challenges they are bringing. Those are not the only divisions in society, but we really need to work around that element so that we can become a strong nation. One of the things that Kenya is doing is looking for or campaigning for as a permanent seat in the Security Council. That permanent seat will require, in the UN Security Council, that permanent seat will require the input of a strong nation. Otherwise, we Kenyans may end up being manipulated to work even against our own brothers. Recently, there was issues in Ethiopia. I thank God because our government was able to stand strong and support Ethiopia. But what happens when other issues come? If we are divided at home, will we be really able to stand and support and protect Africa? These are the issues we need to look at. They may look like they are small issues down here, but when you look at it at that bigger picture, the ability to trade globally, yeah, the ability to have people, when a nation knows they could come here, take advantage of our government, we have corrupt business going on, and because one group is benefiting, one tribe is benefiting, yeah, the European will come and take advantage, and we have loans that we are paying for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Why? Because the leader who agreed stood with his tribe against the rest of the nation. So that's a critical element. Then finally, the fifth issue that I am assigned also to deal with, not just in Nairobi, but in the Senate for the sake of the nation. I mentioned corruption which is a tumor. You can't deal with corruption just in Nairobi. You need to deal with it nationally. Not just it's like a cancer tumor. If you don't remove all of it, it will mutate. It will split and grow and manifest somewhere else in the body. So we need to deal with it from the national perspective. We need to deal with poverty. We need to deal with historical injustices and bloodshed. We need to deal with the divisions, with the maliciousness, yeah, the infighting that is too much in the corporate sector. Yeah. Then finally, we need to deal with what I call worldliness. Worldliness is buying into the secular agenda too much against and losing the the spiritness. Yeah, forgive me for pronunciation. I won't try and risk that right now. But the spirit element of the human being. I am a believer. I'm a Christian, and we Christians have a firm position against issues like the LGBT, for example, like abortion, yeah, like the theory that purports to say that men evolved, the evolution theory evolved from apes. Yeah, these are basic underlying beliefs of the Christian faith, and I believe even of the Muslim faith and of many faiths. Why is that important? We are an apostolic nation. Yeah, we are an apostolic nation is one that will carry the end time revival to the rest of the world. How would we do that if our children are all homosexuals and lesbians, for example? How would we do that if our families are spilling blood continuously through abortion? How would we do that? Yeah, so we need to those are spiritual things that will block the ability of this nation to ascend into its end time destiny. These are five main issues that I believe other in up and including the agenda that the Lord has shared with me for Nairobi that need to be dealt with, yeah? And they need to be dealt with at the governmental, political level. I'll give you one example. When President Obama came to Kenya, uh, one of his main messages and spoken at State House was his call for us as a country to accept the LGBT agenda. Now, if you look at the LGBT agenda, it's a direct attack to the traditional family setting. Yeah? In the church, we will call it the family sphere of influence. But who was dealing with the family sphere of influence? Yeah, President Obama, the governmental political sphere. That's who it was. I thank God for our president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, because he was able to withstand that onslaught. Yeah, politely, but nonetheless, he was able to withstand it. and bearing in mind the US is a major stakeholder, is a major player in the global sphere. So unless the church is able to influence, unless we put in people who want to protect what the values that we have as a society, the faith that we have as a continuity of our country as we know it. These are the issues that I hope to stand and to represent and to bring resolution to as a senator. And I dare say those are the things that make me different from any other candidate that you may have running for the same seat in Nairobi. Thank you.